Ever since the phrase "get good" was said about gaming, players have been desperately trying to be the best that they could be, whether it's catching them all, getting all possible achievements, or finishing a game on its highest difficulty setting. We work tirelessly to feel like we're talented at our favourite franchises, but with this care can come surprising amounts of tragedy. Nobody plays a game to feel like they're bad at it, and getting beat down when you're wanting to feel like a champ can really knock the wind out of your sails. This is why sometimes a game will opt to help you out when you're stuck in a proverbial mud. This doesn't have to involve hand-holding, as often it's a simple matter of a player missing where they are supposed to go, or not quite getting a mechanic of the game itself. As such, most issues can be fixed with just a couple tweaks to give you a little extra kick when things are rough, like when Assassin's Creed infamously had the last section of your health count for much more than the rest. And really, this benefits everyone, even in multiplayer games, because what's a game of Mario Kart where nobody comes near challenging your lead the whole game? Boring, that's what. I am Kirsten from WhatCulture, and these are 10 video games that reward you for failing. Number 10. The Pity Smash, Super Smash Bros. Brawl. Now, before you start, the Pity Smash is not the title for when the game feels so bad that you lost, it decides to sleep with you. It's also not the title for when you lose your mind at an unfair loss and smash your poor, long-suffering console to pieces. Instead, the Pity Smash is given to players unfortunate enough to have been knocked out several times without knocking anyone else out in that time. Sensing that you're having a rough experience, Brawl gives you a free final smash, which you can use to absolutely annihilate someone at least once, for your dignity if nothing else. That said, this was no doubt used by some older siblings in order to absolutely trounce their younger brothers and sisters after giving them a false sense of winning the match, so it can also be used for evil, without a shadow of a doubt. This was also the game where Lucario was given a mechanic that specifically powered him up the more damage he took, so this installment definitely had a stronger focus on evening the odds than other Smash iterations. Number 9. Being given Ketchup, Metal Gear Solid. In the grand scheme of things, you wouldn't think that being given ketchup would help out much when you've been held hostage and tortured. And for most people it wouldn't be, but for the MacGyver-like skills of Solid Snake, it's somehow more than enough to escape. Should you hang around lost for too long after you're left in your cell having just been tortured, Otacon will show up, before handing you some ketchup and then running away like a coward when your guard comes back. This only helps your escape attempt though, because if you lie on the ground and use said ketchup, it will appear to the guard like you have somehow been murdered. This sends him running into the room right into your well-trained, murder-proficient arms, allowing your escape to finally begin. There are several ways to break out, but this is perhaps the most hilarious, as it's a perfect blend of the game giving you an easier way to escape while also being as surreal as possible. Wonder if any real-world prison breakouts have been made possible because of good old Heinz. Number 8. Giving you a magic sword, Demon Souls. The first time you fight the Storm King, it's pretty obvious he's supposed to be fought from a distance. After all, he's a huge sky manta ray who tends to hover ominously above you. Though anyone who fought the Moonlight Butterfly and other Souls games is likely having painful flashbacks to how long that fight could take without ranged weapons. The Storm King is actually far more forgiving. Should you be a physical attacking build, all you have to do is pick up the mighty Storm Ruler and you suddenly have attacks that can totally take him down. To make things even easier, if your inexperienced eyes manage to miss the item, a series of helpful, developer-made signs on the floor will point you over to it. For a game series that usually kicks you into a pit to see if you can swim, you sure were provided with water floaties and an inflatable ring for this one fight. But only this one, mind. Don't get too cocky. Number 7. Just full-on hints. Tales of Monkey Island. Puzzles are difficult. Video game point-and-click puzzles? Even more so. There will be many times when you are left unsure of what exactly you're supposed to try and do next, and thus are left to the old reliable solution of rubbing your items on everything that can be interacted with until you either find a solution or die of boredom. Tales of Monkey Island sensed the existential anguish this could develop in some players, especially those who played the game early enough that they couldn't end their ire by simply looking up a guide online. To try and minimise the amount of computer screens punched through in a fit of puzzle-based rage, the game did what any point-and-clicks would simply never. It offered you the goddamn solutions. Or rather, if Guybrush noticed that you'd stood around for a long time, he'd offer you a helpful hint in the right direction, with some hints being slightly more heavy-handed than others. While some puzzle purists likely thought this was sacrilege, it definitely served to make the genre a little more accessible to a wider audience, and given just how good the Monkey Island series is, the idea of more people being able to play through all of it certainly isn't a bad one. Number 6. Monkey Assistance. TIMESPLITTERS 2. When you think of things that help a player in their rougher times, you generally think of a useful ability, or maybe a regular increase to their damage or defense to help them on their way. What you likely don't think of is the potential for a horde of monkeys to assist them out of sympathy. Unless you've been losing a game of TIMESPLITTERS, of course, because if you have, you will only think of help as a horde of ape pals. Should you fall behind in a multiplayer game, you will helpfully be provided with an army of monkeys who presumably felt kind of bad for you and decided to help you out. Inversely, if you're the player in first, the monkeys make a beeline for you in an animal combo that leaves the playfield equalised. Admittedly, if the person playing against you is especially talented, you've likely only provided them a few more fun targets to hit, but if you're lucky, them having to face a simian who is armed to the teeth might give you enough time to at least make a plan. Number 5. More ink equals more profit. SPLATOON. Naturally, most competitive games require some form of balancing act to be done so the losing team isn't stuck losing the whole time. This generally requires boosting losing players' abilities, either through a literal stats buff or by any other means. In Splatoon, they use a whole host of things to help the less fortunate team have a chance at a victory still, with each mode having different methods of evening the odds. So, for example, game modes that involve covering the map in your team's ink will have bigger rewards for the losing team, as the more enemy ink on the floor, the easier it is to cover large areas in your ink, as there's much more free space. Similarly, any ranked play sees the team that is falling behind have their special meter slowly fill while times are tough, allowing them to use it more frequently and possibly pull things back in their favour. It's nothing state-of-the-art for a competitive game, but much of the fun of the Splatoon series comes from the fact that even when you're losing hard, there's still always hope that you can win. Number 4. Tailored moves. Pokemon. Generally, in the Pokemon series, you won't have to worry about failing too much, unless you're doing a Nuzlocke run, where you have to get rid of your Pokemon if they faint. Pretty much every game in this series is set up to let you overpower your team by a spot of classic grinding, making them into Greek gods who only occasionally struggle against gym leaders and the final Elite Four Pain Train. But as much as the Pokemon series is set up for you to blast them with your Hyper Beam from an over-leveled beastie, it does also have some mechanics to help you out when you're getting your ass handed to you. Case in point, there are moves specifically set up so that you can do more damage when the chips are down. Flail is the most iconic of these, because Magikarp, the blessedly weak fish Pokemon, learns this as its only offensive move aside from Tackle. Flail allows the Pokemon to do more damage based on how little health it has remaining, making it a method some clever players use to even defeat the Elite Four of the games. Number 3. Scaling difficulty and Smoothies. Ring Fit Adventure. Since the Ring Fit is a game where you actually work out in order to play, it makes sense that it's essentially careful not to push you too hard. You should be working up a sweat playing it, not spending your time wondering if you should Google what a heart attack feels like. As such, before every new day on the game, it will ask you if you either felt your exercise the previous day was too easy or too difficult. This means you can actually scale down your play to be way below the difficulty level it would offer you, so long as you keep telling it the last round popped a few blood vessels for you. On a similar note, the smoothies that you can make to revive you when you run out of health can also count as a benefit for an ailing player. Should you forget to drink anything else to heal you when your hearts are low, these smoothies can restore you to higher health than many regular healing moves or items. However, none of this is to suggest the game is easy by any stretch of the imagination, because you are literally bursting your real-world arse in order to complete it. Number 2. Shields for the needy. TOWERFALL. TOWERFALL makes things as simple as it can in a way it aids losing or lagging players. Should the game notice you are getting unfairly proportionately whipped and killed, it will give you a shield power-up at the start of a round. This power-up allows you to take one hit without being damaged, although the downside of this is that you can't catch arrows like the usual Matrix-style hero that you are. Since you usually die in one hit, this is a pretty sweet deal, provided you don't get too used to always having a shield around. Given just how fast a round of the game can be, and given how many mechanics you can only really learn by embedding them into your muscle memory, this is probably the smartest assistance that you could have been given. After all, you don't want a game to totally hold your hand, but it letting you learn how to play it without being shot in the face every 2 seconds is undeniably valuable. Number 1, a need for speed and stars. Mario Kart. When you think about games that support losing players, Mario Kart should be one of the first things that pops into your head. It's safe to say that we've all been saved by the kind hand of Mario Kart at least once, redeeming us from an error in our playing and reminding us that we mere mortals are doomed to make the occasional mistake. Should you suffer the cruel fate of falling to the back of the pack in a race, you'll find the items you receive steadily increase in value. This is especially effective when a far behind player gets a bullet bill or star, both of which increase the player's speed and make them invulnerable. When you finally catch up with the rest of the race, you'll find being in the back has one final advantage. Aside from being safe from blue shells, when you're behind another player, staying close to their cart will give you a slipstream, briefly boosting your speed if you manage to trail them for long enough. It's one of very few games where you can go from last place to first in a single lap, making it even more likely that the franchise is a gift from whatever deities watch over us. And that's our list of video games that reward you for failing. What do you think of these rewards? Leave us a comment down below and let us know. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't already, click that subscribe button. But for now, I have been Kirsten from WhatCulture, and I will see you in the next video.